We're going to look at a real high-end CD player today from Pioneer. Pioneer, you know, the company that brought us such innovative technologies such as the Kiro plasma panel, clearly the best plasma panel probably ever made. And they also brought us CD players that the lens falls out of. Every single one, 100% failure guaranteed on a Pioneer CD player. The laser lens is going to fall out, and this one's no different. Let's check this one out. I have another one of these nice vintage. Turning on some lights here. This is the Pioneer, what is this one? This is a model PDT07HS Limited Edition CD changer, imported from Japan. We'll just do an inspection on the cabinet here, make sure we document any blemishes that may be on here. I see a couple of little scratches on here. There's a little scratch there, a little scratch there, another one over here. But that's just a hair, that one. But other than that, this thing looks to be in pristine, really nice condition. This one here has got the classic lens that's fallen out of the pickup, and according to the owner, he could not find it in the cabinet. So what he's done is he's grabbed a junk optical pickup, so I can try to salvage the lens out of this one. We're going to try to salvage the lens out of this pickup. When I say this one's junk, it's because the one of the ribbon, looks like the wires were disconnected here too. One of the ribbon connectors got damaged on this one. So this one here is toast. But we should be able to pop the lens off of this and install it on this one. At least that's what we're going to try and do on this one. So let me get the top off this unit. So a 4-piece cover on these ones. Of course, this is another 100-volt unit. Get the container to put the screws in here. Okay, the top cover will lift off like that, and then this top cover, 2 more screws hold that one in place. And in case you're wondering, is the chassis copper, or is it just copper plated? They got the little copper foil on top of all the capacitors here to shield them. Is this a copper chassis, or is it just copper plated? Well, the screws themselves are obviously copper plated because they're magnetic. Whether the chassis itself is steel copper with copper plating, or whether it's actual copper, well, I guess if we try sticking a magnet to it, we'll find that information out. I would say that they are it's steel. Let's see here, let me grab my magnet. Yeah, my magnet sticks to the chassis, so it's just copper plated. See? Even this is probably, yeah, even that's just copper plated. That's not magnetic there, but the chassis here certainly is. That's copper. Heat sink appears to be copper. Yeah, the heat sink's copper here, I think. Yeah, heat sink's copper. But the chassis itself is steel. First thing I need to do is to remove the top cover. This being made of aluminum, that's why it's not magnetic. We'll lift off these two plastic plates, set them aside. And I want to lift out the whole bracket if I can. At least take out this part. So I'm going to take out these screws here. These 4 screws will undo these plugs for the ribbon cables. Before I do that, I have to put a short on this one over here to short out the optical pickup to protect it so that it doesn't get damaged once it's unplugged, because the optical pickup, the diode, is extremely sensitive to static electricity. So we're just going to put a short across these two. Like that. That'll prevent static electricity from damaging. And we're going to carefully unplug the ribbon cable. This one here, you have to actually lift up the clip, the release. This one here just pulls straight out. Okay, now I should be able to remove the brackets that hold, or the screws that hold the motor bracket in place. And I should be able to lift the entire assembly out here in a minute. And now I should be able to lift out the optical pickup assembly. Still got a ground wire connected, but that's okay. And there's our lens that's missing. As usual, it's a classic sign that you've got a pioneer if the lens is missing, because this is something that fell out on like 100% of these stupid players. It doesn't matter whether it's a high-end Pioneer or a cheap low-end Pioneer. The lens fell out on all of them. I say usually it falls into the cabinet, but the guy that owns this unit, he bought it used, and he said he's already been through it looking for the lens. So it's possible that the lens is still in there somewhere that hasn't been found, but I got a dead laser to take one off of, so let's pop this one out. Just going to try and work the lens out like this. I should be able to get this lens out because I put this lens in. There we go. There we go. Let's lift the lens out like that. I put this lens in a while back. When you saw the guy that brought me 3 players like this before, or different models, It's the same fellow that owns this one. So he was going to sacrifice one to fix another, just because this is a higher end player. So we had two or three of them. One wasn't in quite as good a shape as the other, so the that one was used as a donor, but he damaged this ribbon cable here, removing it. So that was the ribbon that goes to the bottom here of the motor. He damaged that ribbon, so that block is kind of no good now until I can either find another ribbon cable or find another block for it. So we got the lens to put into this one. I'm just going to get some glue, and we're going to glue this in just like I did before, and see how this one plays. So I got some glue on the end of a screwdriver here. I'm just going to put some on the inside of this pickup assembly. Just on the edges. And then we'll put the lens in. The lens only goes in one way. It is keyed. So we're going to put the lens in and pop it in place. And let that glue dry. I've been very careful not to touch the actual surface of the lens. I've been handling it just around the edges here. So we're going to let the glue dry for a while. Then we'll reassemble the unit and test it out. I should point out that it's the outside rail, not the inside rail. It'll fit like that as well, and it seems to line up, but it's not. It's actually this one here. You move it over here. It's the outside rail, where the two pins here go into these, not the inner ones. Otherwise, it's not going to line up. It's the two outside rails, or outside rail on this one, and the inside rail on this one. The two pins will line up. The plastic pins will line up. There's one, you can't see it on camera, but there's one here, and the other one's over here. We'll put the center screw in first, just to hold it in place. And then the two front clips hold these other wires out of the way. And the last copper painted screw. Next, we reconnect the motor and the optical pickup. So first the motor wire goes in, and it just plugs in the 0 insertion 4 socket, and then the socket is, or the clip is restored, and the same goes for the optical pickup. We plug that one back in, and then remove the short that was installed prior to removal. This unit being a 100 volt rated Japanese model, I've set the variac down to 100 volts, as this uses a conventional transformer. Running it at 120 volts probably won't hurt it, but it won't do it any good, because it will overheat over time. It will overheat this transformer and could possibly burn it out, because the transformer itself is going to have a thermal cutout. They all have to have a thermal cutout in the transformer itself, buried in the winding. So if the winding gets beyond a certain temperature, that thermal cutout will melt. Basically, it's a low temperature melting solder with a little wire connected to a spring, and when it melts the solder, the spring pulls the connection apart, and that's it. It's done. Non-resettable. The voltage regulators here, they would easily handle the extra voltage. A unit that's designed to operate on 100 volts, for example, the output would normally be around 15 volts, and the regulators would take it down to 12 volts and 5 volts, and that 15 volts might go 17 or 18 volts, feeding it with 120, right? Maybe 18 volts, for example. If it was a 15 volt supply, if it was a 12 volt supply, it might go up to 14 or 15, but the regulators themselves will easily handle that. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to stress the transformer, because it's a conventional linear transformer. Running it 20% higher in voltage, or close to 20% higher, 15% higher in voltage, is not going to do it any good. Would not be an instantaneous death like happens if you take a 120 volt rated device and plug it into 240. That will burn the transformer out within a second or two, but this still would, over the long course, not be recommended. So anybody that runs one of these devices, it's advisable that they get a variac so they can turn the voltage down to 100 volts, or a transformer to step it down from 120 to 100 will also do it. Okay, first test. Power the unit up and open the drawer. CD goes in upside down. We'll see how it reads the CDR. And play. There it is. It's playing. Is that my stereo, or is that... I hear distortion. I don't know whether that's my stereo or whether that's this thing output. Maybe it's just my stereo. Might be my stereo. Either that or my plug here. Yeah, let's see how quick this searches. Lightning fast. You can see the optical pickup moves pretty much instantly on this thing because it's a linear motor, right? I'll try and get a shot of this. It's hard to see with this plate in place, but the optical pickup moves really quick on this. See how Houston, we have a problem. This thing appears to be skipping a bit and having trouble finding tracks. I'm going to try a different type of CDR. This is one of the dark ones. This one's got a few scratches on it too, as you can see. Let's see how well it handles this CDR. Now we'll check it on a stamp disc. I don't like that. It's not working right. I have a feeling that this pickup is no good. Either that or this turntable, which doesn't seem to be spinning that freely, to tell you the truth. It could be this is bad, the bearing on here. You see that? I think should spin more freely than that, and it's not. Maybe there's more wrong with this than just the lens that was missing. I do want to take a look at that bearing on the bottom. Fortunately, it is removable. There's a couple screws that hold the bottom of the bearing cap on. I'd like to take a look at that and see, because this turntable seems to be rather stiff. I think it should turn some more smoothly than it does. Aha! Yeah, there is a bearing here for sure, and of course a bearing cap that goes in the bottom here. But this is quite stiff. I think I'm going to put some lubricant. I'm just going to remove the E-clip here without losing it, hopefully. Otherwise that could be a problem. If I lose it here, okay, E-clip is off. Let's pop this bearing apart, and I think we're going to put a bit of oil This is a sintered bearing as well. We're going to put some oil in this bearing because this is quite stiff. It's dry. The bearing here is totally dry, and it's almost sticky. So let's clean this up. I'll clean up the bearing and put some oil in it, and we'll see how much better it spins. Yeah, you see? Dried up oil. We'll just clean this off too. Actually has a little mat that sits on here. I'll put some oil into the bearing here and onto the spindle, and then reset the spindle. Ah, much better. Much better. Now it actually spins. Put the E-clip back on. There. See, now when I spin it, it keeps on spinning. Now I'll put the base back on here. Incidentally, when you put this plate back on, the groove, there's a groove on one side here. It needs to face to the right, because if not, there's a screw that sticks up from below, right over here. There's a screw that sticks through the chassis, and it will hit this if this is put in upside down. So be sure that you put this in this way with this little notch, because that's to clear this screw that sticks through from the bottom. Don't ask me why the screw is as long as it is, but it is. Just so you know. One thing to note is that a lot of these high-end CD players are a lot more sensitive to... That nice spins nicely now, I see. A lot more sensitive to bad CDs. If a CD is at all damaged, scratches, etc., they will tend to skip easier than a cheap CD player. Don't ask me why, but they do. So here's a stamp disc. Can't let this one play. Just want to see how it plays it. There, that's a little better. Not skipping anymore.
Picture you in the sun.
I'll try my burned music bakery disc again. That's a little better. play 2 more discs on it. One of them is my nicely scratched up CDR, another nicely scratched up CDR, and then we'll try this one, 100 CD, 100 special effects, 100 sound effects. Okay, we're going to try one last disc in it. This is a stamped disc with a bunch of sound effects on it. There's 100 tracks on this thing. Obviously, I'm not going to play them all. I'm just going to skip through it at random. Thunder. Right. How about wolves? I think that's wolves. No, it's not. Sorry, it's horses. Oh, here's one. How about an explosion? Oh, we're up to track 34. Car chase. I'm sure there's crickets on here. Gotta find the cricket sound. What a foghorn. Yep, that's a foghorn. That's supposed to be a machine gun. Automatic cannon, actually. How about a 20mm Vulcan cannon? I think that's what this one is. Oh, wait a minute. That's a public address system. That should be a cannon. Vulcan cannon. Missile destroyed. Vulcan missile destroyed. Drone target. And a Hound Dog missile. I don't know if it'll play that one, because that's 100. No, that's 99. That's a Sidewinder missile. The next one should play automatically, but I can't select it because it only goes up to 99. And it's just track 100. So it should play right about in about 3 seconds. So now it should be track 100 right now. Here we go. clock. Okay, I think it's safe to say the unit's working. So we'll put this one back together and send this one on its way. And you know, for all the freaking money they charge on this thing, you think that somebody at the factory would have run a file across there. This thing is like a bloody knife. I just about took my finger off there. What would look cool with one of these is a clear plastic top. All that needs to be on display, not hidden under an aluminum cover. This unit needs to be the centerpiece on top of a stereo stand with a plexiglass cover. That's what this needs. Very neat looking inside. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.